Hello everyone, a very warm welcome to this week's Everton show, and of course also a very happy new year, as this is our first programme of 2017. Will it be a year that in the fullness of time we'll look back on fondly? We hope so. We certainly got off to a flying start last Monday, didn't we, with a great win at Goodison Park against Southampton. Well, our first guest of the calendar year is Ian Snowden. It took a while, Snods, against Southampton, but we got there in the end.
Yeah, it did. First half weren't pretty, not a lot of goal mouth action for the fans to get excited about, but once the first goal came, then I thought the boys played really well and convincing win in the end, and a well-deserved victory.
They never looked likely to turn it round, did they?
No, they didn't. I was disappointed in Southampton, but thankfully I was, because it led us to get all 3 points and a satisfying victory.
A comfortable victory in the end for Everton, just what the doctor ordered, first game of the new year. Plenty to get through, as always, on the Everton show this week, including contributions from this lot.
It's always difficult to create big chances. Southampton is a strong team, play out of a good organisation, but we make the difference in the final part of the game.
Lovely to get the win and start the new year off well at home, so it's good for the lads. Started a bit slow, but managed to get the 3 goals, as you said.
I've got the nucleus of a good side, a nucleus also of what I call local lads, and I think that is very, very important at any football club.
I think it's just not enough to say we are special. We are a great club. I mean, we don't want to be a museum, right? I mean, we need to be competitive and we need to win.
The further and further you go in the tournament, you do feel the fans coming with you, and it's great. It's great for the players to feel that. But as I said, we can only look to Leicester, but it would be great to go on a run without a doubt.
Well, it was 0-0 against the Saints at Goodison Park on Monday night with just 17 minutes to go. But once the Blues edged ahead, we never really looked likely to be pegged back. So it was a highly satisfied Ronald Koeman after the final whistle.
In half-time I mentioned to the players then about to play out of more higher tempo than we did in the first half. That was much better the second half. But it's always difficult to create big chances. Southampton is a strong team, play out of a good organisation, but we make the difference in the final part of the game, about the quality and also about the intensity, what we once again missed in the first half.
And Valencia got the all-important first goal. How key was he when he came on?
He was really important, and that was also the reason to start with Dominic, to have somebody behind Romelu with more pace and a little bit more freedom for us on the side. And we start well, because Dominic started well in the first 10 minutes, 15 minutes. And we missed after that a little bit that pace, but okay, that was the decision what I took. And of course, after 60 minutes, the team needed that kind of player to bring in.
First start for Tom Davies as well, and he looked assured.
Yeah, good, strong in the midfield. Comfortable on the ball, maybe 1 or 2 mistakes, but that was more mistakes what we made in the first half. But he was really good, and we know he's developing really good on this level. And and he showed that today, and we need the boy because we will lose Ghana to the Africa Cup, and still James McCarthy is not fit. We don't have really a number of players for that position.
Snods, that was made up for Enner Valencia. He's put a real shift in every time he's been involved, and he deserved his goal.
Yeah, it's took him a long time, but when he's been coming on as substitute, and even when he started, his work ethic has been great. He's been playing out of position, because he is a striker. The manager's been using him down the flanks, but he puts a shift in for the team. He works hard. And then when he got his opportunity, he went up alongside Romelu, scored a goal, won a penalty. And I thought second half, he changed the game for us. He really did.
We can't ask for more than that. But going back to the first half, as soon as Dominic Calvert-Lewin went down, you and I were doing the commentary, and you said to me, I don't like the look of that.
Yeah, I felt sorry for the boy. He started really well the first 10 minutes, won a couple of headers and shown a little bit of trickery that he could hold the ball up. And yeah, and to go down with an ankle injury, I looked straight away and I thought, he's struggling, the boy. I've done that myself. I've gone over on your ankle and you try to carry on, you want to carry on, but it was just no good. It had just made it worse.
His time will come again, I'm sure,
Oh,
Dominic
sure will.
Calvert-Lewin. Well, Tom Davies is rapidly emerging as the name on everybody's lips. The young man has impressed every time he's pulled on a first-team jersey, and he was excellent again against Southampton. As for the boy himself, he's just taking everything in his stride.
Lovely to get the win and start the new year off well at home. So it's good for the lads. Started a bit slow, but managed to get the 3 goals, as you said.
And it's been a great Christmas and New Year period for you. 3 games, 7 points. How would you rate it?
Yeah, it's been very good. Obviously, the last game against Hull, we would like the 3 points there, but the Leicester game as well and this one, a good points to pick up, especially away from home. So it's been a good period, yeah.
A lot of people notice your performance today, playing deep, controlling the play. Is that where you like to sit, deep?
Yeah, just anywhere in the midfield really. I'll get forward or defend, so just playing really in the midfield anywhere. I feel I can put a shift in for the team.
And a quick word for Enner Valencia. He came on, scored one, set one up. Not a bad contribution, was it?
Yeah, it's what you need from the lads off the bench. So for him to come on, set one up, score, that's all you can ask for. And he's done really well, worked out for the team, and he's basically got us the 3 points there. So congratulations to him.
Snods, more and more, Tom Davies looks like he's here for the long haul.
Yeah, he really does. He excites me. He's a good young player. I know, along with doing the commentary at Hull the other night, I had to do the lounges at Hull City as well, and I seen his parents after the game in one of the lounges and congratulated them on him playing so well when he came on. And I said, as a matter of fact, I said to him, won't be long before he's starting for Everton. Little did I know that it were going to come the game after. So, yeah, he's an exciting prospect. He plays like an Evertonian, wins the ball, wants the ball, gets forward, can have a tackle, and the crowd have took a shine to him, and he deserves his first-team place at the minute.
You met his mum and dad. Who does he get the hair from?
I don't know, because I look at him and I think, well, blonde hair, little beard, socks down. He can do what he wants as long as he keeps playing like that, to be fair.
He certainly is a young player with a big, big future. Now, the first month of any year is always a significant one. The deckies come down, the booze goes under the stairs as the dry January kicks in. New Year's resolutions last about 6 days, and most importantly, the transfer window opens. It's never an easy time to buy, but Ronald Koeman wasted no time in recruiting Charlton Athletic's very highly rated youngster, Ademola Lookman. The 19-year-old has a big future, and his first engagement as an Everton player was, of course, to sit down with the Everton show.
Everton have a big history, and also with the manager, what he's done with Southampton and what he does with young players as well, developing them. I think it just attracted me.
Obviously, it's a big step up from League One. Are you looking forward to tackling the Premier League?
Yeah, definitely. It's been good playing in the Championship last season and for the past 6 months in League One, but I feel like I'm ready.
How would you describe yourself as a player?
Quick, skillful, good manipulator of the ball. Like to be a player and score goals.
Have you spoken to Ronald Koeman yet? What has he said to you?
Yeah, I've spoken to him. Just really saying it's down to me really. What I do, what I produce on the pitch, it's what gets me where I am.
You must be really excited and looking forward to playing with the likes of Romelu Lukaku, Kevin Morales, Ross Barkley.
Yeah, definitely. As a young teenager, I watched most of them play in the Premier League, and I've always been fond of them. Yeah.
How quickly do you hope to settle in here?
As soon as possible, really. I think it's just a matter of time.
So that's Ademola Lookman, very much an unknown quantity with regards to the Premier League, but clearly an exciting prospect.
Yeah, and it's good that clubs can go down now to the Championship and lower down and get players that have been doing well at that level. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing the boy. Don't know a lot about him. He scored 7 goals, looks quick. I know was a lot of interest from other clubs, so I think we've got in early in January. bought the lad, and I'm sure we're going to see a bit of him this season. They say you buy players for future, but we paid good money, and I would think he'll take some part in some games this season, definitely.
It's a good point you make there in that we got him early. It's important to do your business early, especially in January.
Yeah, it is. It excites the fans as well when you buy early as well. And I'm sure Ronald's looking at a few more to bring in the next week or so.
Let's hope it's a busy January for everybody. The future is certainly bright, that's for sure. Well, our immediate future is a few adverts while we ready ourselves for part 2, which this week will feature Leon Osman and the football club's general meeting. We'll see you in a bit. Welcome back to part 2. Now, not seeing the name Leon Osman on the team listing on the back page of the programme has taken a little bit of getting used to. Ozzy was part of the furniture for so long, but all good things come to an end, and he's now forging a good career for himself in the media. He was at Goodison Park for the Southampton game, and beforehand he was happy to join me on the Fan Zone to discuss his blossoming career behind a microphone.
It's been going okay, yeah. You know, going on and giving me views is a lot easier than running around the pitch, I've got to be honest. I've been getting a bit of stick for some of them as well. Some of my views, some by Evertonians even, which is always great. But you know, you can go on and be honest. You know, state your opinion. A lot of people agree with you, a lot of people won't. But you know, it's something I've been enjoying doing.
Everybody always mentions the fact that you still refer to Everton as us and we. Are you told on television and radio to curb that a little bit, or can you nail your colours to the mast? Can you show your bias?
I think you're supposed to curb it. You know, I've been told a few times that, you know, next time will you refer to Everton as Everton rather than us and we, but it's not easy to do, I've got to say, when you're going on. You're obviously supporting a blue, and, you know, the minute you start talking, it just slips out that we were unlucky there, or what a goal we just scored. You just can't help it.
I know you love doing the media stuff and it's going from strength to strength, but Saturday afternoons, is this when you miss putting the boots on and being out there?
No, I have a few pints nowadays. It's great. I'm loving it.
You used to anyway.
No, you do miss the game. You know, when you hear Z cars being played, you know what it was like to walk out the tunnel and run on the pitch, and you know that's probably the moment you miss the most when you hear Z cars and them drums.
I think we have got a question, haven't we, Jen?
We have, yeah, from Ben.
What was your favourite moment as an Everton player?
Oh, that's a good question. I think when we won the semi-final against Man United at Wembley on penalties, just as that moment, and you asked what was your favourite moment, I think that was it. That feeling that we'd done it and we'd got to the FA Cup final when Jags put that penalty in. My favourite goal, looking back on feeling and moments you were talking about, one of your favourite moments was me 400th game at home to West Ham, and I think I might have even been captain that day. And I scored to make it 2-1 at the Gladys Street end. Sammy Etu crossed it in, and I run the length of the pitch. Beat Kevin Nolan in a run race, the length of the pitch. That was interesting. The ref ran past us at one point, and managed to tap it in at the back post. So for moments and goals, even though it was just a tap in, I think that was my favourite on my 400th game.
And one last question from Harry.
How was your career as an Everton player?
I loved it, absolutely loved it. You know, there's only one place I ever wanted to play football. You know, people came in and asked the question once or twice of would you be interested in going. Nothing got too far because I always said no. I'm happy here, my family here. I love the club, and you know, I never wanted to leave, and thankfully that was the case.
Snods, there's a man who looks as if he could still play football, clearly could still play professional football at a very good level, but he's tailor-made for the media, Ozzy, isn't he?
He certainly is. He's a great character, speaks well, knows what he's talking about, and I wish he was still playing. Obviously, I'm not saying for Everton, but I wish he was still playing football because the lad's got so much to offer still, whether it be lower Premiership or Championship. I think you've got to keep playing. But Ozzy certainly is focusing now, I think, on media, which he's very good at, and I hope he's not thinking of taking our job as well, Daz, as an ambassador for Everton and the media side of it. But no,
He'd be a great ambassador, wouldn't he?
Oh, he is a fantastic kid. He's always got a smile on his face. He's always trying to take the mickey, and he's certainly a great, great lad.
A new ambassador, let me think about that one.
Behave.
Right, away from the playing field, there was a highly significant event at the Liverpool Philharmonic Hall on Wednesday night. The club's general meeting took place, and it was the first one for our major shareholder, Farhad Moshiri, and of course our manager, Ronald Koeman. Now, these events can often be feisty, but Wednesday's proved that there is most definitely an air of positivity blowing around Goodison Park, and both the chairman and the major shareholder joined me on the stage with Bill explaining why Mr. Moshiri is just the man for us.
The one thing that struck me most was he was a nice man. I thought, oh, this is a nice guy. The second thing was his love of football. Football, not Everton, not like us. His love of football was astonishing. It seemed he knew more about football than anyone I've ever met, and other than you, Sharpie, and he actually lived for football. And it was my job from that moment to make him live a little bit for Everton, and thank God I did, because I think he'll tell you he's now a Blue. I hope so.
The day I went to Bill's office was a very special day. I mean, I had looked at a number of clubs, having been at Arsenal for a long time as a minority shareholder. I just wanted to be involved in a club. Meeting Bill, and especially his office, was what I think had the greatest impression on me. That was a real man, totally obsessed, involved in whatever he's doing. And I was seeing all the photographs of the musicals, the movie productions, and the great moments of Everton. And I think his enthusiasm for Everton was infectious. And then we kept on meeting each other. We became friends. And met my family, we got to know each other, and I think after a while there was really no other option for me. It was Everton.
You've been to Goodison Park a few times now. You sample the atmosphere. It's something special, isn't it?
Oh, I've really enjoyed it. I mean, it's far exceeded my expectations, and everything about it. You know, the train journeys, meeting the fans. They're really special fans. You know, they just kept on buying beer for me, and I said I don't drink beer, but anyway, I had 6 or 7 pints of beer.
They're just hoping you'll buy it back. That's the tactic.
I know. Well, I know they're special. They're very, very special.
I know what you haven't had, and I know what Evertonians haven't had for too long. So I look at that and I go, oh, isn't it great what we do? But we got to bring some silverware. So that's what I'm sure Farhad and Ronald and Steve, that's what we're going for. You know, this is a very, very, very special moment, I believe, in a very, very special club.
I think it's just not enough to say we are special. We are a great club. I mean, we don't want to be a museum, right? I mean, we need to be competitive and we need to win. Yeah. And also, I think for me, the gold standard is the Premier League position, not FA Cup. I love FA Cup, but I think we need to do well in the league. I think that's where Everton's competitive edge will be measured. We have a window to establish ourselves, and I think we'll do everything we can. I think Bill, in the past 19, 20 years, through sheer dedication, his brain, his ability to get teams together, and the previous managers, you know, they kept the club close to the elite. But now we need to look at sustainability. We need a sustainable base to be among the elite. It takes time, but we are committed. That's why we're here.
Snodge, you were at the Liverpool Philharmonic Hall on Wednesday night for the general meeting, and there was an air of positivity, wasn't there?
Yeah, they were, and talking to a few shareholders there before and afterwards. It was great that Mr. Moshiri and the chairman were both there as well. It was fantastic to listen to them as well as ex-players, what the plans are for the club. Hopefully a new stadium. But I love the line that Mr. Moshiri came out with. We don't want to be a museum. We want to win trophies. And under Ronald Koeman, he mentioned, the chairman mentioned, and under Mr. Moshiri, hopefully we have the money, we have the manager to produce results, to get us amongst the top four as such and get to Europe and start winning trophies. That's what Everton was all about when I arrived at the club, and I want to see that again.
Already, Mr. Moshiri seems to have got Everton, and I'm sure a lot of that's down to Bill's influence.
It is, and one of his first games, if I can recall, Daz, was the Chelsea game, the cup game, and the atmosphere that day was electric. Big Romelu scored that unbelievable goal, and the place just... And I thought to myself, doing commentary, if he is not impressed with the atmosphere in this ground, nothing will change him, because that was fantastic. And he stated that. He said, that day, I thought to myself, wow, this is a club. And the funny line as well on the train, the supporters buying him beer, and you came out with they were trying to buy him one, so he would buy him one back. But yeah, he's got the club. The chairman's waited and waited. He's got the right man, and let's hopefully now see us progress and start getting some silverware.
Maybe you and I should start getting the train.
Dry January, Daz.
Dry January, of course. We wait for February, and that's it for part 2 of this week's show. After the break, we've got our first big interview slot of 2017. It's with a real Everton character. You will enjoy listening to the reminiscing of Jimmy Harris. Welcome back. Now, Duncan Ferguson retired on 72 goals for Everton, and on Monday afternoon, Romelu Lukaku smashed home goal number 72 of his own Everton career. The significance is that Jimmy Harris, a popular striker back in the 1950s, scored, yes, you've guessed it, 72 Everton goals. Jimmy's 83 years old now, but he's still thoroughly enjoyable company, and we really enjoyed sitting down with him in the Goodison Park executive box just before Christmas. We began by asking about the day back in 1958 that he scored a hat-trick, but Everton still lost 10-4 at Tottenham.
I think a lot of people forget about it now. But at the time, I was the only one who could go out in Liverpool that night.
What happened that day, Jim?
They were a very good team, and Greaves was in his heyday. Bobby Smith, 4 and 3 goals. And we were a bit naive at the back.
But the following week, you were back at Goodison against Manchester United. What happened then?
The following week was Man United. I think we all got down to a bit extra training and that, but unfortunately our best player, Bobby Collins, was injured, and we didn't fancy it at all. But we went on and we beat them 3-2. I got the winner this end against Harry Gregg, and the local papers on the Monday night had from chumps to champs in 7 days.
It must have been a big relief to win that game, though.
It was, yeah. But it's only when you go back and look in the book, people talk about the 10-4, but they don't realise what we did the following week, which was a big win.
When you think about it now, there was 60,000-70,000 people at Goodison. The atmosphere must have been great.
Yeah, I played it a few times when there was 72,000. The great one was against Man United again, 1958 again, I think. 3-3 game, Wednesday night, September. Derek got 2 and I got 1, and we drew 3-3. But that was a great game.
There was
excitement.
Some great teams, wasn't there?
Yeah.
Some great teams.
But we were all local lads who didn't go to academies. we just arrived at these clubs at 15 when we'd finished schoolboy football. We were streetwise. See, we'd come through the war. We were hard kids born in 1933, 34. We'd come through the war.
And being a centre forward in them days, you come up against some big tough centre halves, didn't you?
Well, I started here with 15 as an inside right, and then when I'd finished my national service, we were short. We played Skem away, and the centre forward got injured in a shooting, and I played centre forward and scored 3. And then I managed to get into Everton reserves, and I was on my way to the top. But I didn't think I was going to be as good as I was, because in my first season I was as good as anybody in the league. The only trouble was it was an oldish team coming out the second division, and there was only Brian Harris and myself who were young.
He was a good player, Jimmy, wasn't he, Brian Harris?
He started as a right winger, and then he went back. Yeah, I mean, Brian played for 400 games, and I played 200. And we signed for 10 quid each, both from Birkenhead, Bebington. Everybody thought we were brothers.
There was no contract negotiations then, was there? You signed for what you were given.
That was, your top line was £20 a week. But in 1964, we were going to go on strike, Jimmy Hill. But that was just to break the £20 limit. It wasn't for more money. It was to break that £20 limit. And £2 for a draw and £4 for a win.
Who gave you a hard time, Jim? Which centre halves used to rough you up a little bit?
The hard ones, like Mark's dad, Mark Higgins' dad, Bolton. Used to go to Bolton, and you're lucky to come away alive.
But defenders could tackle in them days, couldn't they?
Yeah, they were, if they could get near you. The thing was, in our day, there was more space at the back. There wasn't this flat back four. So if you had speed, you could get away from them and get the ball down, and then they were in trouble. That was the difference between me and Hickson. Dave was the old second division sort of centre forward. I was quick and could get round the pitch.
What would have happened in your dressing room if someone had walked in with yellow boots or bright green boots like they wear now?
I think the only one, we all used McGregor's. But I was one of the first to use Adidas. And the old photographs I've got, it shows you the 3 white stripes up the side of the boot. And we come from McGregor's to Adidas now. But they were all black, they were black.
You didn't get paid a fortune for it though, did you?
You're lucky to get a pair from Jack Sharp's. You had to get a chitty from the club to go down to Jack Sharp's. And he'd fit you out with a pair of boots. But I knew when I was leaving, I asked Harry Cook for a new pair of boots for about 6 weeks, and he wouldn't give him a chitty to go. So I said to Harry, looks like I'm on my way then, does it, Harry? So fortunately for me, where we kept our boots, Roy Vernon's, who'd just come to the club, his box was full of boots. So he heard me asking about a new pair of boots, so he said, take a pair of mine, Jim. So I went and tried a pair of his size 7s, he was the same as me. So I managed to get a pair of boots. Following week I'd gone to Birmingham.
He was a smashing player, Roy Vernon, wasn't he?
He was a good player, yeah. He was what I needed for a bit. I played with Roy for about 12 months. And he would play for himself. He knew how to play for himself. Like all the stars who we signed, Jimmy Gabriel, and they all had this cockiness about them. Now, when I went to Birmingham, I had the same thing. Everybody looked up to me, and we were playing in the Intercity's First Cup then.
Mm.
That's when I got my goals against Milan, and we got beat in the final by Roma. And then they made a position in the league after that. But it was a good competition, the Intercity's First Cup.
Still love football, Jimmy, don't you?
I can remember it, yeah. I can remember it. Not bad for 83.
So I know we've spoken about Jimmy Harris on this programme quite a few times, so it's lovely to finally hear from him, and he's some character, isn't he?
Yeah, I've been in his company now for the last 2 years at the Everton former players' Christmas party and or Christmas lunch, I would say. And I make sure I sit next to him now because he keeps me entertained for the couple of hours that we're there. And some of the stories he tells are fantastic. But what a terrific player he was for Everton as well, scoring all the many goals. And yeah, it's good to listen to him.
How's your luck? You score a hat-trick, but you lose 10-4.
Unbelievable, unbelievable. I've been involved in a 12-goal game, but not a 14 one. 10-4 and he scores a hat-trick. But yeah, it must have been an unbelievable game. As I say, I was involved in a game 7-5 against Reading. I scored a hat-trick, but we won that game. But I weren't a goal scorer. I had 2 penalties in that. But no, Jimmy certainly could play. He knew where the net were. And as I say, what he was disappointed, he thought he left a little bit too early, Everton. He wanted to stay. He loved the club. And he was disappointed when he had to leave.
And after winning 7-5 with Donny, the week later,
we got beat to Wigan 6-3. So, yeah, 21 goals they were in 2 games straight after one another. So, defences on top, I would say.
Real football in those days. Coppers again. And one thing I wanted to mention, going back to the general meeting, Snods, is the price of season tickets at Everton. The board have worked so hard to make football, as it was in those days, affordable to the working class man.
Yeah, I listened to that on Wednesday night at the general meeting, and it was fantastic what they came out with, the froze season ticket prices. Some are even a little bit cheaper for next season, but the under-25s one, that was fantastic by Everton Football Club, and let's hope that a lot of clubs learn from us yet again and do exactly the same.
A £95 season ticket for kids, brilliant.
Can't get better value than that, because that's what it's all about, bringing your youngsters in. They're the next generation of Evertonians, so what a price, and it'd be great to bring your kids for that amount of money.
Children of the future, no doubt about that. And that's part 3 done for this week's Everton show. After this short break, we'll be back with a former Everton manager and the countdown to one of the most popular days of the football calendar, the 3rd round of the Football Association Challenge Cup. Time for the 4th and final part of the show. We had Leon Osman on a little earlier, and we've got another Everton old boy for you now. Although at 82 years of age, Gordon Lee has got a few years on Aussie. Gordon's 4 years in charge of Everton were a bit of a mixed bag, but he did lead the team at Wembley in the League Cup final. He took the Blues to 2 FA Cup semi-finals, and he gave debuts to Kevin Ratcliffe and Graham Sharp. A true gentleman of the game, we were delighted to speak to Gordon recently, and he began by stressing the importance of a good core of local lads in his late 1970s Everton team.
I'd got the nucleus of a good side, a nucleus also of what I call local lads, and I think that is very, very important at any football club, and that's the thing that put me on. I mean, I had some good local lads, as an example, Mickey Lyons, and we had some Lancashire lads as well. And I think that was always good, because I think it's important for particularly a club like Everton and Newcastle to have that relation with the players who they know, and I think they warm to them, and I think it's good for the club and it's good for the fans, because when things go wrong at football clubs, which inevitably they do, and it's the same in life, it's important to have some stability somewhere. And if you're having a bad time at a football club, for instance, and results weren't going well, you can always rely on the local lads to give you blood and give the best. I mean, I signed Colin Todd, Asa Harfwood, we had Martin Dobson, David Thomas as well. They're all sort of good players. But if I had to say which is the best player, I would have to say Graham Sharp, insofar that I can't think of anybody that could pay £80,000 for a player, get 10, 11 years good service and successful service, and be sold for £500,000 to Oldham. That to me has to be the top thing, and that's great. I mean, I was pleased with Graham because a young Scottish boy came to Everton, did very well, and moved on, and he's had a great career. Everton, I'm sure, thought he was great, and I think that's good. They like to see that, local lads, young lads coming through and being successful.
Snods, we'll have a full interview with Gordon Lee in a few weeks on the Everton show. It really is well worth watching, but it was fantastic to see him at the Everton Former Players Foundation Christmas lunch, because not long before that he'd very sadly lost his wife.
Yeah, I love seeing all the old players. I know when the first couple of years I came down, I wanted to know the history, I wanted to know everything about Everton Football Club, and when I go to these dinners now, these lunches, I see the players and I know who they are, and I know how many games they've played, and I think it's fascinating for me to sit there and watch them all come in, and you make sure you have time to try and talk to every one of them.
The camaraderie from plays between different eras is fantastic. I love it. Now then, there's nothing quite like the third round of the FA Cup. Even the draw is something to look forward to, although with 64 teams in the hat, we were perhaps unlucky to be paired with a fellow Premier League team. But with Steven Gerrard and Ian Wright pulling the balls out of the pot, we should have expected a tough one. It's Leicester City on Saturday, and to start the countdown, we spoke to a man with a bucket full of FA Cup memories, Kevin Sheedy.
Kevin, what makes the FA Cup so special for you?
It's got fantastic tradition. I think everybody has got great memories as a supporter or as a player of the FA Cup, and it's a unique competition and something the supporters look forward to, and they always hope that their team gets a really good run in it. So we're hoping this year, obviously the first team against Leicester, you know, it's a tough game, but it's a winnable game, and certainly the supporters will be hoping that we get a victory.
Of course, it's a competition that creates heroes, and you're no stranger to cup runs yourself. Who were the heroes that you remember from those particular runs?
Well, I think if you look at our first win in the '84, Sharpie scored, Andy Gray scored. They'll always have those memories, you know, lifting the FA Cup. You know, so there's always, the FA Cup always produces somebody, you know, sometimes an unknown in the earlier rounds, you know, a lesser team that beats the bigger team. So there's always, you know, different sort of emotions in the FA Cup, and certainly as the top team at the time, we played underdogs. We played the likes of Woking, Telford, who at Goodison, and on the day they really pushed us all away. So there was no easy games in the FA Cup. You know, teams and players play above themselves. Ronald
Koeman knows a thing or two about winning cups as well, so that should help.
Indeed, he's got the experience, you know, of worldwide football. So you know, he'll obviously be a calming influence. You know, I think the atmosphere. I mean, the Arsenal game the other week was one of the best atmospheres I've heard for a long time. So you know, the atmosphere again Saturday second half was really good, and I'm sure that if we get off to a good start, the supporters will get right behind the team, and you know, say make it a good day for us.
In recent weeks, we've seen Tom Davies announce himself on the Everton first team. What have you made of his display so far?
He's done very well. I'm not surprised. I mean, Tom has been in the system a long time. I remember back when Tom was 15, 16, I was playing him in the under-18s. You know, he needed to be stretched. He was athletic as he is now then, and he needed to be playing against, you know, better players to get the best out of him. So he did really well for those 2 years. He played in the team that we won the under-18 Premier League, and you know, got great experience from that. He's been away with England, so his development has been, you know, all the way through. And I'm not surprised, you know, of his performances, and there will be more to come from him. But certainly his performance on Saturday pleased everybody.
Sheeds knows Tom Davies very well, Snods, and Tom's going to be important, particularly with the absence of Idrissa Gueye.
He certainly is. Kev's told me about him for numerous years now, a couple of years at least, that what a good player he is. He said he always shone while he was playing for him, and he could step up. And I said to Kev, what, this early? And he went, put him on, see what he can do, and he'll hold his own, no problem. And he certainly has done that.
You like the FA Cup?
Oh, love it, love it. Even when I was at Doncaster and Leeds, I always waited for that draw for the third round. If we qualified as Doncaster, we came in the first round, but if you got to the third round, you wanted one of the big boys. You really did. Now, I'm at a big club. We don't join till the third round, but you're always waiting in anticipation. And when we got drawn out at home, I'm thinking, come on, give us a lower team. We've got the champions, we've got Leicester, but I'm sure Ronald Koeman is striving to win this FA Cup. He will put a strong team out.
I'm sure he will. It's a tough draw nonetheless. But of course, Everton have already beaten Leicester City this season 2-0 at the King Power Stadium on Boxing Day. But the Foxes, as Snod said, are the champions. And Seamus Coleman agrees that it's a testing draw at this stage of the competition.
It's a tough draw. Obviously, I think when you're watching the draw, the first thing really that you want is a home game. It's always important to get a home game, and then look, they're all tricky ties. You could get a lower league team, and you know it's their cup final, and they can be tricky games as well. So, look, we got Leicester, who are a very good team, and as you said, are champions. But they're coming to our place, so it'll be tough for them.
What are your feelings when you look back on last year's run, getting to the semi-finals? Obviously fantastic, but I guess there's a desire there to go one better and put it right this time.
Yeah, there always is. Look, we done well last year getting a semi-final. I missed the semi-final with injury, which was devastating really. But you get that as a professional footballer. You have good times and bad times. But the lads done really well in the semi-final, and it was a cruel way to finish it. And obviously we want to kick on and try and get to the final. But there's a lot of teams wanting to do the same thing. So you can't really look that far ahead. You can only really look to Leicester and trying to get that game out of the way first.
When you, as you say, you take it a game at a time, but in this competition, perhaps more than any other, when you get on a run, you can really feel that sense of togetherness from the players, the fans, everybody. It lifts people, the FA Cup, doesn't it?
Definitely, yeah, you can definitely feel it. I suppose it gives everyone that little bit of hope of winning a trophy, and the further and further you go in the tournament, you do feel the fans coming with you, and it's great. It's great for the players to feel that. But as I said, we can only look to Leicester, but it would be great to go on a run without a doubt.
Will there be a bit of confidence, extra confidence after Boxing Day?
Yeah, look, we went there. We probably needed the 3 points ourselves, and we went there and played well. We kind of dominated the game without being very exciting, but we got a couple of goals, which was great, and it'll give us that confidence going into this game. But you know, every game's different. I'm sure there'll be changes in both teams maybe, and it's just a different game, so we have to prepare well.
Snod's Leicester City are the champions, but there's no getting away from the fact that just at the moment they are on the cusp, maybe, of a potential relegation battle. Do you think Claudio Ranieri will assess his priorities?
I don't think they'll go down. I think they've got enough good players there to stay up. So I'm convinced he'll play a strong team. I really am. I think it'll be a difficult game. There's no question about it. We beat them at their place recently, but that don't count for anything in the FA Cup. They'll come at us. We'll have to defend well, and we'll have to play well. But I'm convinced at Goodison Park, FA Cup, I know what it means to Evertonians. I know what it means getting to Wembley for all the Evertonians. We absolutely adore this competition, and I think it'll be a great atmosphere. And I think we're going through, well, fingers crossed, we're going through to the fourth round.
Wouldn't it be lovely to have another great FA Cup and go all the way? Early days, but let's go all the way.
It is early days, as Seamus says. You take one game at a time in the FA Cup. You hopefully win this game against Leicester, get another home tie. You don't want to be greedy, but you'd love to play at home every round. But no, the FA Cup's something special. It really is. And I know our boss watched it when he was playing in Holland, so we know what it means to him. Come on.
It's still magic, isn't it, the FA Cup? And that's the first Everton show of 2017 safely in the can. There's much to look forward to this year for us Evertonians. And as we've said, wouldn't we love another good FA Cup run along the way? The relationship between the FA Cup and Evertonians is an enduring one. And third round day is always something special. Whatever the outcome, we'll have the very best reaction for you next week. Thanks for joining us again from me and Snods. Have a great weekend.